Okay, hey guys, we are starting our fireside. First announcement, there are 6 people who still want a fireside chat slot. We are working with the program to figure out if we can slot those in during LWI week. We may be able to get 4 to 5, and they aren't sure we're going to get 6. So bear with us, but if you really want to do a fireside chat, we're going to find a way to do it so you can start prepping it. And it may come down to mornings, lunch. Yeah, I think lunch is probably filled up or afterwards, but we as a cohort should try to support the people who want to do that. Today we have 2. We have Abdullah going first, and then Margaret is going second, and I think she should be here within 20 minutes. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I wish I had a sexy British accent. I know, like Roger, all those gifts you are getting, this is the secret admirer, okay? Anyway, I have a boring life, and that's why I didn't want to do this fireside chat. But Nidhi inspired me, and she convinced me. So if you are bored for any of next 18 minutes, it's not my fault, okay? Are you okay? I want to take you back to June 2nd, 2005. It was a Thursday. I still remember, the memory of that day is so vivid in my mind. Okay? I still remember the butterflies that were dancing when I took that, boarded that Emirates flight 587 to Dubai. That was the first leg to my journey to US. My whole world was packed in just 2 suitcases and a backpack. As the flight took off, it felt like I was getting drawn into a dark, never-ending tunnel. And at the end of the tunnel, I don't what's waiting. I didn't know anything about. The chatter around me in the flight, the clatter of big trays and the flicker of in-flight entertainment, nothing touched me. The only thing I could feel was fear. It's fear of unknown, fear of being alone, and fear of not belonging maybe. And I think I was concerned, like when or even if I would ever be able to come back home. So I know, like, whoever of you left home with a one-way ticket, you know exactly what my feeling was. So after a day of travel, I reached the Dallas airport, where a childhood friend who went to the same boarding school as I did came to pick me up. And as soon as I saw him, it hit me. I said, wait a minute, this is not the first time I'm dealing with starting my life in a new place, in an uncertain place. Actually, I was only 13 when my parents dropped me off to this boarding school. This is where I spent the next 6 years of my life, from 7 to 12. This is an aerial view of this school where I spent the time of my life. This is the academic building, the administrative building, the houses for students where we live, and 3 houses. And there is like dining hall, the playground, the staff quarter across the field. And if you look carefully, there is even a hospital at the corner. So it was a city within a city built entirely just for 300 hours. Now, I know what you're thinking, that why is that sweet, innocent boy sent to a boarding school, right? I actually grew up in a pretty loving family. These are my siblings, and don't make mistake, I'm not there, because I was born way later. And you see like how grown up my sister is, right? When I was probably like 1 year old at that time. And I could not find any childhood photo with my dad it was because he was so busy. He used to leave home before we wake up and get back home way past our bedtime. Because he ran small businesses all across the town, he worked so hard to put food on our table. So growing up, we barely saw him, so he didn't actually have time for taking pictures with us. But this is the one. The first memory I have with my dad, his hair and beard was already all gray. And this is the last one I took when he was still alive and healthy and kicking. And this is the very last photo I took of him when I visited him again a few months later, before I lost him in July of 2023. And that's just a few months before we started our program. Our home was a very happy and humble home in Bangladesh. And as the first ever person in our Ember program from Bangladeshi origin, I think it falls upon me to give you a little bit of introduction about Bangladesh. Bangladesh is very small, tiny. You saw the scale, right? Country in South Asia, surrounded by India by all three sides. Thank you all Indian friends for treating us well. A little bit of Myanmar. We miss you, Nim, and Bay of Bengal on the south. It's one of the densest country. 200 million people live there. It's like squeezing 2/3 of U.S. population in the state of Wisconsin. So you can imagine. So despite its size, Bangladesh is doing very great economically. It's the ranked 35th in the world at this moment. Hope like we are going to do even better. So connecting the dots back to my boarding school, MCC was not just any school, it was one of the 12 elite residential institutions, 9 for boys and 3 for girls, funded entirely by the government and run by the country's military. And the goal was to build leadership in children from their very young and formative ages. And getting in was not easy. So each of those 12 schools would admit 50 students each year, so 600 nationwide, and 30 to 50,000 students would apply and go through the rigorous selection process. So you can do the math. The acceptance rate is 2%. So sorry folks, MIT is not the school with toughest acceptance rate I got into. So life there was very regimented, and every hour of the day was accounted for. And I attribute a lot of my personal traits to this place. My discipline, my sense of structure, my leadership skills, whatnot. And I see the threads from this place coming in my story again and again in my life. Going back, the fear that I was having in that flight, I told you. So as soon as I saw my friend from the same boarding school, my fear just disappeared. And he picked me up, he let me crash in his couch for the next few months. He taught me the tips and tricks of surviving in the US. He helped me write my first resume, get me my first job. He helped me settle in, and most importantly, he helped me settle down. And just like that, 20 years flew by. This is the lifeline that I drew for our leadership signature class, and we had to show the key moments of our life. You can see like the birth, my boarding school, moving to US, getting married, starting a family, and so on. So a significant thing happened just before the pandemic. I got a promotion at my work, and I started leading the cloud engineering platform at Epsilon, the company that I have been working for the last 15 years. And for a while, I felt like, I became important at work and it's ruining my life. Okay? But that was a turning point, because I have been a builder. I started off as a coder, even though my first degree, which is bachelor post K-12 degree from Bangladesh, and the first master that I did from UT Dallas, both were in electrical engineering, but I fell in love with coding in the very first year of my college. And after working in the software industry for 8 years, I went back to UTD for my second master's, this time in software engineering. So I have been a builder of software, but after this promotion, I kind of started moving to a builder of relationship. So nowadays, my majority of my day is spent in building relationships with other people. And within just 3 years, MIT happened and you happened. So I'm immensely grateful to all of you guys. You guys make this, the way you bring yourself every other week, the level of humility is very inspiring. And the safe place that you build for each other, it's encouraging, and obviously the what is that experience you bring in and so generously share with us, it's also invaluable. And funny thing is, when I got accepted at MIT, I thought like, okay, it's a executive program. There will be like mid-level executives and above with frowny faces coming every other week, conference style, taking notes and going their way. But alas, we made friends and flamingos. I got my flamingos. And the humility I talked about, you can see like all these big shots riding tea with me, and the safe place on the floor, you see, the safe place. And obviously, Maria Elena is not here, and Joe, thanks for indulging us with all these props that you bring. And my Morocco team, thanks for being there. We had so much fun in Morocco. So you can see my life is boringly struggle-free. And by the way, I'm going to wear this same gown in MIT, in my MIT graduation. So I'm trying to get the per degree cost of that gown down to compensate for all the tuition we are paying, right? So, oh, well, not entirely struggle-free, you know. Something still remains, some struggles. Okay. So if you remember, during the orientation week, which feels like gazillion years ago now, I mentioned this, like the way I'm constantly translating from Bangla to English in my head, and like how the pronouns are genderless in Bangla, and how I always mix up he and she, like if I call you a she, or if you're a he, I call you a she, or she call you a he. It's just that translation process to kick in. So, or if I offended you ever with my words, it's probably a joke of mine just got lost in translation. So, thinking about the struggles of life, I get a little philosophical. I think like, okay, if we put the efforts we put in one axis and the accomplishments in another, we expect a like nice upward looking curve, right? Like the more work you do, the more successful you get. But in reality, it's something like this, right? It's messy, it's unpredictable. So who adds this randomness to our life? So I don't have the answer, but my personal belief is if we have someone to attribute that randomness to and have someone to resort to in time of despair, it makes it easier to deal with life's ups and downs, you know. And for me, that someone is God. I'm a person of strong faith, and these pictures are just 2-3 months before our orientation, when my wife and I took this pilgrimage trip to Mecca. It's like as a practicing Muslim, every Muslim financially and physically able is required to take this journey. And I believe it's designed to expose us to the beauty of diversity in humans. So, and as you know, like the randomness I was talking about, God gifted me with less randomness in our life, and amen to that. I choose to borrow struggle from other people. So I sit in the board of a nonprofit. It's the alumni from different years of the same boarding school. So we collect funds from our network, and we are operating 2 clinics in 2 remote villages in Bangladesh, where we have salaried physicians who treat 50 to 100 patients every day. We fund the education of 200 plus children. You know, you always hear about, and it's aimed towards stopping child labor. You always hear about the viciousness or the inhumanity of child labor. But when our parents are presented with choice, like either you send your kid to work or you go hungry, that's not much a choice, right? So we pay their tuition, we arrange extracurricular activities for them, and we pay them to stay in school. And we rebuild actually homes for extremely poor people. This is one of the before and after pictures. And locally in Dallas, we do all kind of volunteering, and this is something my wife leads. She is leading the grocery delivery program to the refugees who don't have a car. They cannot come to the pantry that we volunteer for. So she's handing off the grocery basket to my son and sending him off to delivering that, right? So what else do we do for fun? Okay, so this is my most favorite picture of my family. My son used to call it a cupcake picture with a cherry on top. and we are Bangladeshi American Muslims. A lot of identities to manage, you know. But we do celebrate each one of them whenever we get a chance. And as a family, we spend a lot of time together doing like traveling or camping or any other activity. That's our primary form of entertainment. And obviously, when I'm gone for weeks or months or like days, my son is definitely frustrated. Okay, my daughter is graduating high school in May, on the same day. Many of you know that we are graduating and we are missing each other's graduation. So she's graduating high school and she's going to start college in UT Austin as a pre-law student. And my son is still 12 years old and he demands a lot of time from me. So when we were in the Lean Week, my flamingos probably are familiar with this photo, right? Porsche. So my son sent me this text when we were away for the whole week in October. Like, why are you doing this? we make good money, your boss loves you, your family loves you, blah blah blah. Why are you doing this? It's not like we didn't talk about this. We did talk about this as a family before I applied, but he was just frustrated, you know? Like, her grandma was always cooking and grandpa is always on the phone, so he has reason to be frustrated. You know? So that brings me to my final question, like, why am I here? Okay. So before that, I will talk about my wife's work. My wife is a special education teacher, and these kids in her classroom just love her. Okay, and they keep coming back to our home to see their favorite Mrs. Moyeen, even when they are gone for her classroom for years. You know? So I think she brings more glory to our last name than I could ever do. So right after the pandemic, I would say like late 21, early 22, my wife and I, we were doing a little bit of soul searching, like, hey, we're going to be empty nesters now. Kids will go off to college, and will have like a lot of extra time and resources. So what are we going to do with that? So I said, okay, let's have a few more babies. My wife's just rejected that one. No. She said, okay, the world already has enough people. Let's do something better, something bigger. So that's when we decided, okay, let's do one thing. Let's get better at what each one of us do. So she started a master's in human development and early childhood disorder at UT Dallas, close to her, and she's graduating in May also, 19th May, and that's also conflicts my impact week. So I have to come and go back and come back again. And I started MIT. The goal was like each one of us get better at what we do, like she with special education and I in relationship building. And then we combine our superpower to make this world a better place. We want to make the lives of as many people as boring as ours. Because, my friends, a boring life is a blessing. Thank you.